Okay, so check this out. Here we go. Now that we got these times, now we can finally start talking about the moon phases, okay? And the reason I put these times in here is this. The sun always rises at sunrise and always sets at sunset. It's always out during the day. The sun's a daytime thing. When is the moon out? When is the moon out? When is the moon out? Yeah. Some of you know that I'm trying to trick you with this question, okay? I'm trying to trick you. Because we typically think of the sun as a daytime thing and the moon as a nighttime thing. But the moon is out at a different time every day. And it turns out that it's out during the daytime hours just as much as it is during the nighttime hours, okay? And the reason for that is if we were to look at this picture for a long time, and of course it freezes up when I try to do something. There we go. In this picture, we can imagine the sun just hanging out up here for the entire time, and the Earth hanging out here for the entire time. But the moon, remember, orbits us, okay? And depending on where it is in the orbit, it's going to be out at different times, okay? So, for example, when the moon is over here, it's on the same side of the planet as the sun is. So it would be out during the day more than the night when the moon is over here. When's it going to be out when the moon is down here on the opposite side from the sun? When are these moons going to mainly be out? They're going to be out mainly in the night, right? So basically, because the moon is orbiting around us, the time that it rises changes every single day. And here's the next question. Does anybody know how long it takes the moon to orbit around the Earth? How long does it take the moon to orbit around the Earth? Roughly. I don't need an exact. Yeah, it's about 28 days, okay? It's about 28 days. It's not exactly 28 days. It's about 4 weeks, okay? It's an easy way to think of it. It's about 4 weeks. Or in other words, okay, here we go. It's about a month, right? Give or take. It's a little bit less than a modern month, but it's about a month, right? And that's not a coincidence. Check it out. The word month is moonth, okay? A month is a moonth. That's where the word month comes from. Months were originally set up to be moonths, but we're just saying it wrong now, right? And we've tweaked the calendar since we originally set up what a month was, and that's why it no longer actually matches the month. But that's where that word comes from, okay? It takes roughly a month, okay? Now, but easier for us, though, just think 4 weeks, okay? Now, because it takes 4 weeks, that means that as the moon slowly moves around the Earth, it's going to rise roughly 50 minutes later every day. Every day, the moon rises about 50 minutes later than the time before. And by the way, I want to make sure you understand what I'm showing you here. This is not the moon going across the sky every day. This is a view from space of the moon slowly taking 4 weeks to go around. Okay? Now, with that in mind, here we go. We're not quite to the phases yet, but we're getting there. Check this out. Here we go. Now, the reason I told you to draw the times on here is that now we can figure out, using this figure, what time every moon is going to rise, okay? Because the moon moves through its orbit, every phase is going to have a different time that it rises, okay? And I'm just going to let's start with Moon A. Okay, let's start with Moon A. Let's not worry what it's going to look like. Let's just try to figure out when is it going to rise, when is it going to set, and when is it at your zenith. Okay, so here's what you're going to want to do. Take your figure, whichever moon you're trying to figure out, turn that page so that the one you're figuring out is at the top. Okay, so you want to be able to spin around the Earth like this. But spin it, since we're trying to figure out Moon A, put Moon A at the top of the page, okay? Now check it out. Would you be able to see this moon, right here, this moon, at midnight? Would you be able to see that moon at midnight? Yes or no? No. No, you can't, because if you're standing here, you're standing on the opposite side of the Earth of this moon, okay? If you're standing at the midnight time, the midnight place on Earth, the Earth is totally in the way of that moon, right? If you want to see that moon, you're going to have to wait, okay? All right? And if I'm spinning around the Earth, the first time the Earth would not be blocking my view would be at 6 a.m. Because now, if I'm standing here, nothing is blocking my view. See, though, there's nothing between here and here. I can see that moon for the very first time at 6 a.m. Okay? I can see that moon for the very first time at 6 a.m. And if I'm seeing it for the very first time, what does that mean that moon is doing at 6 a.m.? What is this moon doing at 6 a.m. if I'm seeing it for the first time that day? What's it doing? You're seeing it for the very first time. And give you guys a chance to guess. It's rising. Okay? It's rising. That moon, when you're spinning around the Earth, once you've spun so that the Earth is out of the way, if there was a person standing here, their feet would be on the Earth, their head would be up here, they'd be looking to the side to see that moon, okay? So that moon would be rising because it's the first time that the Earth got out of the way and gave you a view of it. So that means that moon rises at 6 a.m. Now, I'm showing you the complicated background of this right now. In a second, I'm going to show you a very easy way to figure all of this out, okay? So Moon A here rises at 6 a.m. Can anybody figure out what time it would be when this moon is directly over your head? See if you guys can figure that out. When would Moon A be directly over your head? When would it be at your zenith? At noon. If you were standing here at noon, you'd look straight up to see this moon. So that means this moon is at your zenith at noon. Okay? So the time pointing at it is the time it's straight over your head. So it rose at 6 a.m., it's going to be right over your head at noon. If it rose at 6 a.m., it's going to be right over your head at noon. Now, somebody is saying, but like, isn't it blacked out? I'm not talking about how it looks right here. I'm talking about where it would be in the sky, okay? Don't worry about what it looks like, but it would be above you at noon, okay? I'll get to how it looks in a second. And then, can you tell what's going to happen at 6 p.m.? If you keep spinning around the Earth, when it turns 6 p.m., a second after that, you move behind the Earth again. You move back underneath the Earth. And that means you can't see that moon anymore after 6 p.m. So what does that mean is happening at 6 p.m.? It's setting. Okay? It's setting. Somebody's saying that The stream is going a little wonky. Everything's still good on the stream, guys? Things still working out? Just making sure. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So, again, let me just go through it one more time. If we're looking at Moon A, at midnight, I can't see it because the Earth's in the way. 6 a.m. is the first time I can see it because I spun out from underneath the Earth. So it rises at 6 a.m. It's straight above my head at noon. And it sets at 6 p.m. because if I spin any more, I'll be behind the Earth again. Okay? Now, check it out. Check it out. Here we go. Let's do a different moon. Let's do Moon C. If we put Moon C at the top, okay, if we put Moon C at the top, we can figure out the same thing again in the exact same way, okay? Check this out. On this moon, if the moon is here, because it's not in the same place as it was before, all the times change. If the moon is here, I can't see it at 6 a.m. because if I'm at 6 a.m., now the Earth's in the way. Okay, now I'm on the opposite side of the Earth as that moon. Okay, so what would be the first time I could see this moon if I'm spinning around the Earth? When I get here, now I can see the moon again. Okay, when I get right here, I can see the moon again. So what time does this moon rise? What time does this moon, Moon C, rise? At noon, right? Noon is the first time I can see that moon. So that one's going to rise when we're having that phase, the moon will rise at noon, okay? What time is this moon going to be straight over your head? Well, if this moon is straight over your head, then you're standing here, right? Because if you're standing here, you'd look up to see that moon. So that means the zenith time, or the straight up time, for this moon is 6 p.m. And then finally, we want to figure out when is it going to set? When is this moon right here going to set? Well, if you keep spinning, the last time you'd be able to see it is at midnight, right? So that means this moon rose at noon and set at midnight. So that moon would be up half during the day and half during the night. Okay? Now check this out. Here we go. I want to go back. Just check this out. When we were doing Moon A, it rose at this time, the time that was on the right, and it set at the time that was on the left. Okay? When we just did Moon C, it rose at the time on the right, and it set at the time on the left, okay? Let's see if we can figure this out. If we do Moon E, if we follow the pattern, what time should Moon E rise? What time should Moon E rise? "6 p.m., the time on the right. That makes sense because if you were standing at noon, you can't see that moon. If you wait till it spins here, then the time on the right is when you get out of the way of the Earth, okay? So, yeah, what we can do is if we put these times in the right place on the figure, and we put whatever moon we're trying to figure out at the top, then whatever time is to the right is the time that that moon will rise. And whichever time is to the left is the time that that moon will set. Okay? So this moon right here rises at 6 p.m., sets at 6 a.m. This moon rises at noon, sets at midnight. This moon rises at 6 a.m., sets at 6 p.m. So if you set up your figure right, you don't have to memorize 8, start and rise and set times for every single moon, because all you got to remember is right rise, left set, okay? Right. I'm gonna put myself in the middle here. Oh wait, da-da. Here we go. Right rise, left set. Right rise, left set. And here's how I remember it. Right, rise. Right, rise. Right, rise. Right, rise. Right, rise. Right, rise. Left set. Whatever. Just remember right rise. Left is the other one. Now. And the time that points up at the moon, whatever moon is, what time points to it is your zenith time. Okay? Now, here we go. By the way, when I do that in class, I have like a whole dance for right rise, left set, and I do it, and everybody just cringes at it real hard, and then everybody remembers it. So, yeah. Now, some people have pointed out a little bit of a tricky part, and that's, what about like this moon, or this moon, or this moon, or this moon? My green screen's right here. I literally don't have dancing room, unfortunately, so I can't do the dance. I'm sorry. I'm sure if you search Snapchat enough, somebody has me dancing on there. So, look around. You'll find it. Now, and don't worry, the dance is not good, so don't worry about it. Anyway, let's get through this. What do we do about, like, moon B? Everybody turn moon B to the top so that this figure's now kind of diagonal, okay? I got it diagonal. The sunlight's coming in from up here. What do we do about this one? Well, here's the thing. Okay. We said that it takes 28 days for the moon to go all the way around the Earth, right? 28 days to go all the way around the Earth. But there's not 28 phases, okay? There's not 28 phases, okay? We said it takes 4 weeks for the moon to go all the way around. 4 weeks to go all the way around. So don't overthink this. Here we go. If you go from A to C, how long would it take the moon to do that? If it takes 4 weeks to go all the way around, how long does it take the moon to go from A to C? Oh, it froze up on me. Yeah. 1 week, right? If it takes 4 weeks to go all the way around, it's going to take 1 week to go that first fourth, another week, another week, another week. Now, the moons that we kept talking about a second ago, the ones that line up perfectly with times, those 4 phases, so A, C, E, and G, those phases only happen for 1 day. Okay? They only happen for 1 day of the entire cycle. Those are 1-day moons right there. A, C, E, and G. And again, you can tell if it's a 1-day moon if it lines up perfectly with a time. Now, if they're all 1-day moons, can moon B be a 1-day moon? Can moon B, how many days does moon B take? How many, as the moon goes through here, how many, we said it takes a week to go from A to C, so how many days is it going to be a moon B? 6. Same thing with moon D. It takes 6 days here. So moon phase B, the moon's not always right here. What it's doing is it's moving after moon A, it's here and then here and then here for 6 days. I just drew one of them. So what that means is someone saying that they're glad they took their math classes. Good job. 6 + 1 is 7. Yes, very, very good on that math. But what I'm saying here is this. The moons that don't line up perfectly with a time, we can't give an exact time because there's going to be 6 different times that that moon rises. But we're not going to memorize all 6 one of those times. Essentially what you could do is take the time that moon A rose and add 50 minutes a bunch of times to get all the times. But here's what we can do. We can still do right rise, left set, okay? We could still do it, but for the ones that are on the diagonals, instead of giving an exact time, you're just gonna say a time between this and this. So let me show you what I mean. If we're doing moon B, right rise would be right here, right? Right rise would be right here. So I could say moon B rises between 6 a.m. and noon. That's all I would have to say. So if I asked you, when does moon B rise on a test, what I would want to hear is between 6 a.m. and noon. That's still to the right, okay? Okay, let's do left set for this moon. Left set would be over here. So when does moon B set if we're using left set? When does moon B set? Get me in the Discord. When does moon B set? It should be between... something and something. So if we're doing left set, from this point of view, left would be like over here, and that's between 6 p.m. and midnight, okay? Between 6 p.m. and midnight. Moon B would be straight over your head between noon and 6 p.m. So right rise, left set, straight up will be moon B. Now I'll go ahead and tell you the vast majority of the ones that I would ask you are going to be the ones where you can give an exact time, but I might ask for one of the betweeners as well. Just remember right rise, left set, up zenith, and you are good. Last thing I'm going to say about that before we actually start drawing these moons. How do we know we put the times in the right place? Because if you don't put the times in the right place, you're going to get everything wrong. Here's what I always remember. Wherever the sunlight points is noon. Okay? Wherever the sunlight is pointing in is noon. Okay? So once you've found noon, the other times just go in order. So as long as you've got noon pointing to the sun, you've got those times in the right place. Okay,